the best defensive free agents. We're going to rank them from 10 to 1, but we have some honorable mentions for the boys. Alontae Taylor. Now, I'm saying Alontae Taylor as an honorable mention strictly because I signed him in my Jets franchise on Madden. Make sure, or on YouTube, go make sure you watch him. Fast. Super duper fast, but don't kid yourself into these reply guys on Twitter who act like he's a good corner. He's just speedy. He allowed a 66% completion percentage and 4 touchdowns and 600 yards in 24. He allowed 62 receptions in 25, the 5th most in the NFL. So Alontae Taylor is going to be a name guy if you play Madden because he's speedy. But don't get you, if your team signs him, the guy just gives up completions. That's what he does. Joey Bosa. That guy's could be a real asset for a contender. Same with Khalil Mack. I think we can put them in the same category. Khalil Mack, I think, is a little bit more productive than Joey Bosa. 6 sacks, 4 forced fumbles in 12 games at 34 years old. He had like an 80 pass rush grade on PFF. And PFF, you take that with a grain of salt. Khalil Mack's still a real issue. I think he could be an asset for a team that's trying to contend this year. The Chicago Bears comes to mind. Go back to Chicago, Khalil Mack. Like that's actually, I think that's a match made in heaven is Khalil Mack back to Chicago. Obviously had some of the most productive years of his career while he was in Chicago. He's still producing in a limited role at an elite level when he's on the field. 39 pressures, 6 sacks, 4 forced fumbles in 12 games last year at 34 years old. You look at this Bears defense, they have a pretty solid interior defensive line with Gravon Dexter, Grady Jarrett. Montez Sweat had the best year of his career. They do lack some depth at the edge rusher position. I think they should swing at Trey Hendrickson. If they can't get Trey Hendrickson, bring back Khalil Mack, who they traded for in 2017, 2018 or whatever, and was a key piece of those Chicago Bears defenses that were really, really good when Mitchell Trubisky was the quarterback there. I think Khalil Mack in Chicago, reunite, could be really, really productive, but he's not a 3-down player at this point in his career. He's a situational pass rusher, so they would need to also either draft another edge rusher or sign another edge rusher alongside Khalil Mack. But I still think he is a plus. Like, you could throw him in the top 10 here, and I wouldn't really mind. I just think there's some guys with real high upside at the corner position, and I threw a lot of them in here. I think it's a really, really deep free agency class for the corner position, and I put them in here. Joey Bosa, same deal. 5 sacks, 5 forced fumbles, 9 TFLs, 88 pass rush grade per PFF. Started off the season elite, tailed off towards the end, consistently puts up a 20% pass rush win rate. Not as productive in more games than Khalil Mack. So I put Khalil Mack just above Joey Bosa. They'll probably be like 12 and 13 because I think Kobe Bryant's the best safety on the market. He doesn't make the top 10. Fast, physical player, good ball skills. But how much of it was scheme? How much of it is him being an elite player? Because he had the best season of his career. Best couple of years of his career with Mike McDonald there. And safeties are a hard position to pay a lot of money to in free agency because it's really like a scheme dependent. There's only a select few of elite difference makers at the safety position. Like, you could get a guy in the draft in the 2nd or 3rd round that can do as good or maybe a slightly worse job than Kobe Bryant could. Like, that's why safety, like paying a safety a lot of money is only worth it if it's Xavier McKinney and you pay him a lot of money and he leads the league in interceptions like he did for Green Bay last year. So the safety position is just because of value, and there isn't an elite guy in the market to throw him into the top 10. I have, and then Quay Walker, 128 tackles last year, fast linebacker, 0 ball skills, but quick, good blitzer, has not forced a fumble since his rookie season. Average linebacker tackle machine, good size speed combo, second best off ball linebacker in this free agency class. So he's a good shout there as well. Quay Walker, shout out Quay Walker. I thought he was going to be a B. He had like 5 forced fumbles or something stupid his rookie year, and he fell off. All right. Number 10. This might be crazy to some people, but I don't even care. Calais Campbell is the 10th best free agent on the defensive side of the ball. Can we talk about what Calais Campbell did last season at almost 40 years old as a defensive tackle? He was like a top 4 defensive tackle in sacks. 6 sacks, 33 pressures, almost 40 years old. But I'd be hard-pressed to find an interior defensive lineman that's going to give you production in the 2026-2027 season that is going to be at a higher level than the production Calais Campbell can give you. I don't know how this guy, at almost 40 years old, is still producing at a near elite level at the defensive tackle position. And he did it last year in Arizona, but nobody talked about it because the Cardinals stunk. Calais Campbell could be a real asset on some of these teams that are trying to contend this year and have some weaknesses on the interior of their defensive line. The Cincinnati Bengals, the Detroit Lions, We're losing DJ Reader and Ahmad Makhoud Muhammad, or however you say his name. Like Calais Campbell could be a real asset on teams that have struggles on the interior of their defensive line. He had a great season last year at 39 years old. He's ridiculous. I think he's gonna, like, why would he tail off? I guess because he's old as fuck. But either way, Calais Campbell, top 10 defensive free agent. I don't care. You're not gonna find a player that's gonna produce at the interior defensive line position, which is more valuable than an off-ball linebacker, which is more valuable than a safety position. That's gonna produce at the level that he did the level that he will next year on the market. You're just not. So for that reason, I think he's a top 10 free agent. Sue me. Sue me, sue me, sue me. I don't care. Number 9. I don't think this guy's that good. I don't. But you can't ignore the measurables with Tariq Woolen. I have him at number 9. He's 6'5", elite speed. But if he hasn't put it together at this point, technically, with his eye discipline, when is he ever going to put it together? Like, if you have these traits that can't be ignored, which is why he's in here, and Mike Macdonald can't even get the best version of you to hit your ceiling with these traits, I feel like it's not crazy to think that he's not going to reach his ceiling ever. Which is probably why he's hitting free agency. However, he's got 6'5", ran a 4.2 almost. Like, he's got great ball skills. His technique stinks. He gets burnt in coverage, but he did only have a 78 passer rating last season, allowed 38 catches. He doesn't allow a high yards per catch, but he almost cost the Seahawks a trip to the Super Bowl. He's gotten benched multiple times, but it's just 6'5", 4.2. Can't get over that. 6'5", 4.3, whatever. He can't get over that. And he's got really good ball skills, really good hands. So I think Tariq Woolen needs to crack this top 10. And there's a good amount of corners here. Jaylen Watson at number 8. He gets burnt a lot. He gets burnt a lot, but he always is there to make the tackle. He's always there to make the tackle, and he was the best corner on this Chiefs pass defense. He only had 3 pass breakups and allowed 35 catches. I think he can be a really, really good CB2. I think he'd be a really good CB2. Teams are just able to pass the ball all over the Chiefs because their safety play stunk. And the Chiefs did play a lot of pretty good offenses this year. Like, George Pickens just mutilated Jaylen Watson on quick slants. He just mutilated him. And that just stuck in my brain when I think about Jaylen Watson. But he is the advanced analytic king. So, like, he's got the craziest advanced analytic stats for a player that when you watch him, you think, this guy really? So maybe I'm looking too much into it. Maybe I just didn't watch enough Jaylen Watson on an every down basis. But I did watch a little bit of film. He's pretty sticky-ish in coverage. He rarely allowed yards after the catch. George Pickens dominated him. He's a really good tackler, especially at the line of scrimmage. Decent ball skills. I think he can be a really, really solid CB2. They have him valued crazy on Spotrac, but I think Spotrac's values are all out of whack. We'll see once these free agents actually get signed. But yeah, I think Jaylen Watson offers you a way higher floor than Tariq Woolen, but obviously Tariq Woolen's ceiling is way higher. I just doubt Tariq Woolen will reach that ceiling, so I have Jaylen Watson slightly above him. Number 7, Nahshon Wright. And this is another guy who had no production at all, buried on a Cowboys depth chart for the years of Deron Bland and Trayvon Diggs. But last year was an absolute beast. Turnover machine, but he did allow 53 receptions as the nearest defender and a 94 passer rating when targeted. But he had 5 interceptions. He is a good tackler. He has elite size and speed, 6'4", ran a 4.49 at the Combine in 2021, 27 years old. This guy can be a real problem with his frame if he continues to develop and polish off his technique. But again, he was buried on the Cowboys depth chart. He doesn't have a lot of in-game reps, and the first time we see him get a increased sample size, he's just a turnover machine. But he's not that sticky in coverage. Spotrac has him valued as the potential highest paid corner on the market. I think that's crazy. I think there is a clear corner that is just better than all of the other corners, and I think he's getting really slept on, and we'll get into him later on in the video. But Nahshon Wright, you can't deny the size. It's rare you see a corner at 6'4" have as many picks as he did, and also ran a 4.5, like or a 4.4. Like he is a good athlete, and in his first season, getting plus snaps, getting a lot of reps, he was a turnover machine. And I'll pay $10 million, $15 million a year for 5 extra possessions. Like, you would do that from a corner position if you don't get beat for 1,000 yards the way that Trayvon Diggs did the year he had the 12 interceptions, whatever. Number 6, there's a little run on corners. Now we have some defensive linemen. Number 6, John Franklin Myers might be the most underrated player in the NFL. The Jets traded him for a 7th-round pick. The Jets went from having one of the best run defenses in the NFL to allowing 5 yards per carry without John Franklin Myers. And he's listed as an edge rusher, as a defensive end, but he doesn't have the speed, or he doesn't have the bend or the flexibility to be a real elite edge rusher around the outside. And I think that's why people underrate him. But he is just a brute force on the interior pass rush, on stunts that Broncos ran a shit ton of. And they get him moving on a guard, and he just overpowers them every time. And he's a relentless finisher in the run game and sacking the quarterback. Back-to-back seasons with 7 sacks, anchored a Broncos defense that was one of the best against the run. A lot of that has to do with John Franklin Myers. Now, the only reason where I don't have him ranked higher on this list is because he doesn't ball hunt. He hasn't generated a turnover in years, but back-to-back 7-sack seasons, he is a real problem, and he's just a consistent player on your defensive line that I think any team would be lucky to have. How old is he, too? I don't know. I don't have his age in front of me. Let me see how old he is. I feel like he's 29, I want to say. Bear with me here for a second. Bad podcasting. But yeah, maybe that's just Jets bias getting to my head here, but I really am a believer in John Franklin Myers, and this isn't the greatest free agency class, especially at the price tag you can get him to. Not the greatest free agency class defensively, that is. And especially at the price tag, you can get him just consistent 7.5, 8-sack guy, really good against the run, solid power speed. I'm filibustering while I look up his age here. Blah blah blah. Where is he? John Franklin Myers. I will say, if you want to counterpoint it, he's 29. All right, I was right. I did all that just to be right. If you want to counterpoint, he was on a really good defensive line that probably helped with his production a lot. Like, yeah, I won't dispute that. But still, I'm a JFM believer. The 6th best defensive free agent. Number 5, I have Jaelan Phillips. I'm a little lower on Jaelan Phillips than a lot of people are, but you can't argue with the size. It's just, where's the production been? Because outside of that 1 year where he had like 8.5 sacks before his Achilles injury, there hasn't been a whole lot of production, and he has been injured a little bit, but he is more than just an edge rusher. He can set the edge in the run game. He's 6'5". He's huge, behemoth of a man, long arms, and he can produce. Like, we have seen it in spurts, but can he be healthy? He wasn't really that much of a pass rusher when he was on Philadelphia, although their defense did take a significant uptick when he got there. There is injury concern. He missed time in 23, missed time in 24, has a surgically repaired Achilles tendon. $17 million a year is a lot of money for a guy that doesn't really have any elite years of production besides the one where he tore his Achilles. That's why I have him valued a little bit lower. I think there's a better edge rusher valued around the same price tag hitting free agency that has produced at a better level. But he's also only 27 years old. He could be elite. Like, he has elite upside with his body size frame, and if he's in the right situation to produce. So Jaelan Phillips at 5. These are the guys now, like from Jaelan Phillips and on, these are really good free agents. Like, I think these are really good free agent candidates on the defensive side of the ball. But after like Jaelan Phillips, you could throw a whole bunch of guys from the 5 to 10 spot. I think these guys need to be in your list. I think these are the top 5 best free agents easily. Number 4, the most underrated cornerback in the NFL is Jamel Dean, and he is hitting the open market. I don't understand why nobody knows about Jamel Dean and just how good he was besides Tampa Bay Buccaneers fans. He allowed a 46 passer rating last year. That was the lowest in the league. He has elite speed. He's a low 4.3 guy. He had 9 pass breakups, only allowed 4 passes over 10 yards last season. He ranks 11th in PFF. You take everything PFF says with a grain of salt, but he ranks 11th in PFF's advanced coverage grade over the last 2 seasons. He also led the NFL in coverage DVOA. However, a metric saying that Jamel Dean is better than Pat Surtain in coverage is definitely one to be taken with a grain of salt. But all these advanced metrics, he has decent size. He has elite speed. He didn't allow a touchdown last year. He has good hands he can play press, he can play off, he can play man. He has elite speed. He can make plays around the ball. Jamel Dean is an incredibly underrated corner, and I think the market for him is going to be very competitive in free agency. I think he is the best corner with the highest floor. He's produced the most that is hitting free agency, unless you want to say Trayvon Diggs, but outside of the 10 pick year where he allowed 800 yards, I don't want to hear anything about Trayvon Diggs' production. But Jamel Dean has been a solid corner a top 10 great above league average corner for the past 3 seasons, and nobody's talking about him, and he's hitting free agency. I think he is a stud. Whoever lands him is landing a gem. Number 3, Odafe Owe is easily the best edge rusher. Well, besides Trey Hendrickson, but Odafe Owe is the best edge rusher under 30 on free that's hitting the open market. 7.5 sacks for the Chargers this season. He had 3 sacks in the wild card game, including a couple of forced fumbles. 21.5 sacks over the last 2 seasons in Baltimore and LA, if you include the playoffs. Quick, good bend, good against the run. 17% pass rush win rate last season, was top 10 amongst the edge position last season as well. And a lot of people were like trying to blame it on the Jesse Minter scheme while he started developing. He had 10 sacks in Baltimore before. Like he had 10 sacks. Like he is a good player, only 27 years old, still room for improvement. If he's on a good scheme with a good defensive line and he gets plenty of one-on-one matchup, he is going to eat up his one-on-one pass rush opportunities. Top 10 in pass rush win rate amongst the edge position. I think he's better than Jaelan Phillips. Doesn't have as high a ceiling because of his size, but still he's not like a small guy. He's not undersized, but he has produced at a higher level than Jaelan Phillips has. Number 2 is Devin Lloyd. I mean, a leading coverage last year. 69 passer rating allowed as a linebacker is ridiculous. 25 pressures, 5 picks, 7 pass breakups, great tackler, a leading coverage. 12 missed tackles is a low number for a linebacker that's constantly around the ball. It's not a high number, but it's not a ridiculously low number, but it's not a really high number either. He's a good tackler, fast. $20 million seems a little steep for Devin Lloyd. It seems a little bit steep, but if he's good for 4 or 5 turnovers, isn't going to miss too many tackles, constantly has his nose around the line of scrimmage, then it's worth. And I think easily the best free agent is Trey Hendrickson. I mean, premier sack specialist, 2 seasons with 17.5 sacks, at least 2 forced fumbles in his last 4 seasons where he played more than half his games, 3-time Pro Bowler, sack champion, elite power and combination of pass rush moves with the athleticism to just consistently finish off plays, sack artist, elite, good for 15 sacks if he stays fully healthy. Trey Hendrickson is an absolute dog, should be a highly coveted free agent if the Bengals don't franchise tag him and he sees the open market. Those are the top 10 defensive free agents. Make sure you like the video, subscribe. I will be breaking down a whole lot more as we get into the NFL offseason. I'm talking NFL draft. I'm talking NFL free agency. I'm talking NFL trades. I'm talking, can I win the Super Bowl with the New York Jets on Madden, that series? Go watch it now. Like, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later on YouTube.